Hey there, and welcome to Cultivating Her, the show where we are breaking taboos, balancing hormones, and redefining women's health by breaking down the science in a way that actually makes sense. I am your host, Christy Edgar, and today we are diving into one of the most misunderstood and frankly dramatic hormones in the body, Miss Estrogen. So, if you are in your late 30s, early 40s, chances are good that you woke up one day and started feeling like your body had a mind of its own. Like your energy was not what it used to be. You have some stubborn weight gain. There's cravings. There's muscle loss. You're just feeling off. Okay? Well, you're not alone. And the culprit, the drama queen, Miss Estrogen. All right, so in this episode, we're going to talk about how estrogen does more than just regulate reproduction, and then how its decline during perimenopause affects our metabolism, our muscle growth, inflammation in the body, blood sugar, and then most importantly, what you can do to feel strong, energized, and in control during this crazy transition. So grab your favorite beverage, take a deep breath, and maybe grab a pen and a pencil, or a pencil and a piece of paper, and let's get into it. Because when it comes to perimenopause, knowledge is power. And today you are getting the ultimate playbook for how to thrive through it. Welcome to Cultivating Her, breaking taboos, balancing hormones, and redefining women's health. I'm your host, Christy Edgar, an integrative nutrition health coach and holistic lifestyle expert. Join me as we dive into the world of menstrual health, hormone balance, and the connection to women's wellness. Whether you're looking to decode your cycle, tackle PMS, or manage menopause, this show is your go-to to syncing your lifestyle with your hormonal rhythms. Through candid conversations, practical tips, and a few expert interviews, Cultivating Her empowers women to embrace their cycles and align their lifestyle to boost energy and thrive in every phase of life. Subscribe now and start flowing with confidence as we redefine what it means to be a woman with harmonious health. Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are going to be talking about estrogen. So in my podcast about perimenopause, we discussed what is happening in the body, right? So we talked about how estrogen is up and down and progesterone is slowly decreasing in the background. Okay, so we know estrogen levels fluctuate significantly, okay? But do you know that estrogen impacts various other bodily functions beyond just reproduction? No? Didn't think so. I didn't either. Remember, we're all in this together. None of us have learned any of these things, which is why I'm here. So what we're going to talk about today is the ways that estrogen influences our metabolism, our ability to build muscle, our mitochondrial function, inflammation in the body, blood sugar balance, and our bone density. Okay, we're just going to dive into estrogen's complex role and really give this little diva all the attention that she deserves, because we know, remember, she's an extrovert. She loves attention. She loves to be the center of all the things. And then her twin sister, progesterone, is the introvert outlier who's very quiet and very conservative. So in this perimenopausal experience where estrogen is erratic and progesterone is decreasing, they are no longer balancing each other out the way that we would love them to, the way that they have for the rest of our existence, right? Because poor progesterone, we have taken this sister for granted for so long because she has kept estrogen in check, and now she is not. So we have to deal with the repercussions of this wild child. So let's dive into that. Let's first talk about estrogen's decline, okay? So we know that we're born with a set number of eggs in our ovaries. When we're born, we have all the eggs we'll ever have. We also have follicles on our ovaries that stimulate the production of estrogen. So as we pass our reproductive prime, these follicles, they start to weaken and die off, which is how we get that natural decline in estrogen, okay? And remember, I said estrogen isn't just about fertility. We have estrogen receptors all over the body, and they influence everything from metabolism to brain function. Estrogen also is an anabolic hormone, which is a building hormone. So as estrogen starts to decline, our body starts to become more catabolic as opposed to being anabolic. Okay. And this has major consequences in our ability to maintain muscle, to have good energy production, and to our overall well-being. Okay. So we're going to dive into the impacts of estrogen and how they are affecting the body. Okay. So let's first talk about muscle loss and how our metabolism starts to slow down. As I said, estrogen is an anabolic hormone, which means it plays a vital role in building and maintaining lean muscle mass. So then as estrogen starts to decline, your body leans towards being more catabolic, which starts to break down muscle instead of build it. Okay. Why does this even matter? Because muscle is metabolically active, which means the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolic rate is. Okay. Also, loss of muscle reduces insulin sensitivity, making it easier for your body to store fat, and harder to regulate blood sugar, which we'll get to in just a minute. Also, you need to remember that strong muscles help to keep inflammation in check, and they contribute to overall energy levels. So what do we do to support muscle growth? So we need to prioritize resistance training, strength training, weightlifting over high-intensity interval training now that we are perimenopausal. There are only two ways to build muscle. One is to lift heavy things, and the other is by protein. Protein is the building blocks for muscle. So we need to make sure that we're eating enough protein during this stage of our life as well. Like, it is crucial that our protein intake is enough during perimenopause. The other thing we need to avoid during this time is uneducated fasting and being in a calorie deficit too much, okay, because that can accelerate muscle loss. So I will say over and over and over again on the podcast, you'll hear me like if you're fasting, if you're doing a keto diet, you really need to be educated. So whether that means that you hire a coach and someone to walk you through it, or you read a bunch of books and you really know what you're doing, that matters, because we cannot be fasting 18 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours a day and living in a calorie deficit during this period of time. And I know that that might have worked for you before, but it's not going to work anymore. Secondly, we're going to talk about mitochondrial function and our energy. Okay. So your mitochondria, remember, are the powerhouse of your cell. This is what converts nutrients into usable energy. And estrogen supports mitochondrial function. So when estrogen drops, your energy production becomes less effective. And so what does this mean? It means that you might feel fatigued or sluggish or have trouble sustaining energy throughout the day. Your body struggles to access the stored energy, making it harder to power through your workouts, which is why those high intensity interval trainings or those lots of cardio or any of that can be very difficult and very straining on the body during perimenopause. So what do you do about it? Well, if you're already insulin resistant, you might not have to do anything. We might just need to look at getting you into a more insulin sensitive body. But if you are metabolically flexible, then making sure that you are consuming healthy carbs before any kind of cardiovascular activity can help to fuel your workouts. So I want to be very clear here that for women who are relatively healthy, okay, who have a relatively normal BMI, who are physically active, who are eating clean, who have detoxed, you have a different set of of needs than a woman who is overweight or obese, who is consuming lots of ultra processed foods and who hasn't detoxed. There's two different protocols for you. Okay. So for these more athletic, already wellness centered women, you're going to be doing less fasting and more really honing in on what calories you're eating. For women who are in the opposite end, who are definitely insulin resistant, your protocol is going to look a lot different, and it's going to look like fasting more and getting that blood glucose down. Because remember, estrogen likes level glucose. So when estrogen is all over the place, it's not a good combo to have glucose that's all over the place too. Okay. Third, inflammation. Okay. Estrogen helps with inflammation. So inflammation is a normal and necessary response in the body. Okay. So when you're lifting weights, it's those tiny little micro tears that occur during exercise. When you are exposed to a pathogen, it's the fever that you get in your body's natural way of trying to fight infection. Okay. Inflammation can be a very good thing. It also can be a very bad thing. Low estrogen levels can lead to chronic inflammation, which then exacerbates the stress response in the body. So what can contribute to inflammation? Well, first of all, a poor diet. Standard American diet loaded with inflammatory oils and ultra-processed foods, totally going to create systemic inflammation. Also, too much exercise, specifically the high-intense exercise, definitely creates too much inflammation. Not getting enough sleep. Quit wearing your tiredness like a badge. Sleep is vital during perimenopause. And then, of course, low progesterone levels, which are completely normal during perimenopause as the progesterone starts to drop, okay? Progesterone acts as an anti-inflammatory, and we talked at the beginning of the podcast about how it helps to level out estrogen. So as progesterone starts to go away, we're going to see increased inflammation naturally unless we do something about it, okay? Well, what do we do? How do we keep it in check? Well, for starters, we eliminate ultra-processed foods and all those inflammatory seed oils. If you don't have them out of your diet yet, you need to do that immediately. And then you need to make sure that you're getting quality sleep. 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, sometimes more. Do not skimp on sleep, girls. Also, we need to balance our stress levels, okay? This doesn't just include external stress, it includes internal stress, which is hormetic, things like too much fasting, under eating, over exercising. These are all things that can contribute to inflammation. Also, by strength training, we are giving the body what it needs to help keep that inflammation at bay. So I can't say enough times during this podcast, I guess, that perimenopause requires us to lift heavy things and to also prioritize stress relief. Okay. Number 4, and I think the biggest, and what I really focus on as a Fast Like a Girl coach, is blood sugar and insulin resistance. Okay. So estrogen plays a crucial role in insulin sensitivity, which helps your body transport glucose into the cell efficiently. Okay. When our estrogen levels start to decline, insulin resistance increases, making blood sugar regulation more challenging. Okay. This is just in a natural body, like a healthy one. So if you are living in an already sick body that has autoimmune conditions or chronic illness or any of that, now you are exacerbating the symptoms of perimenopause. Okay. So what are signs of insulin resistance? Cravings and energy crashes throughout the day, unexplained weight gain, particularly around the midsection, and then what worked before no longer works. So your body is responding differently to food and exercise. And this can be from both camps, in a healthy body and in a challenged body. How do we balance blood sugar? Okay. If you are living in a healthy body, making sure that you are choosing high fiber carbs made by nature, avoiding blood sugar spikes, because remember, what goes up comes down, balancing your meals with protein, healthy fat, and fiber to help maintain steady energy, Eating your protein and your fiber first before you consume your carbs, because remember, fiber slows down the absorption of sugar. And then walking after a meal or moving for 10 minutes or so just to help shuttle that glucose into the cells. Okay, those are basic, generic, how to balance blood sugar suggestions. If you are living in a state of chronic illness, systemic inflammation, any kind of autoimmune dysfunction, and you already have insulin resistance prior to going into perimenopause, then you have a whole other set of situation that you have to look at. So you need to lower your glucose levels, which means fasting. It means giving the body time to process through the excess glucose that is in the body. It means allowing the body to switch into a fat burning state so that it releases stored fat, stored sugar, stored glucose, insulin, and really get you into a place where you are, number one, metabolically fit, and number two, where your glucose levels are not so incredibly high. Okay. And I will say, if you were to test your glucose, which I require every one of my clients to do, those of you who are insulin resistant will notice that you have a fasting glucose over 100. Many of you, it's well over 100. Okay. This is not normal. Fasting glucose should be between 70 and 90. Okay. Also, our A1C, which is our everyday glucose level, and what we do try to work on when we work through fasting fasting like a girl. If your A1C is over, I would say 5.5. Mindy says over 5. You definitely need to look at getting that under control. And there's a lot of you who are well above 5. This is creating more of an issue with your perimenopause. Okay. That leads me to say this. Because of some of the things that estrogen affects, when we go into perimenopause unhealthy and not understanding what's happening, we come out on the other side with things like osteoporosis and thyroid dysfunction, because estrogen is so directly connected to those things, and because we're not in balance and our body is not doing what it's supposed to do, it is not functioning the way that it's supposed to, it is exacerbating those symptoms. Okay. So it's really, really important. If you're listening to this and you're not in perimenopause yet, it's really important that you get these things under control. If you are in perimenopause, we got to talk about it. We got to look at it, and we got to get it fixed. Okay. Number 5, estrogen regulates our hunger hormones. So for our appetite and feeling full. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone that it tells you you're hungry. Leptin is the hormone that signals that you're full. So as estrogen fluctuates, these hormones can become dysregulated, leading to you feeling hungry too soon after you ate, or you feeling less satisfied when you've eaten, and then making you overeat. Okay, so the hormone leptin that shuts off your hunger, that says, oh no, we've eaten enough, will let you overeat, and then you feel really full. That also results in a glucose spike that's probably higher than it should be, because we're eating more than we should. So how do we manage this with appetites? Okay, so first of all, we focus on protein-rich meals with healthy fat. Healthy fat helps to make you feel full for longer, okay? And we also avoid ultra-processed carbs like the plague, because they cause quick sugar spikes and then crashes. Definitely don't want to do that. We also want to be a little more intuitive about our eating, and we want to be sensitive to the fact that some of us are emotional eaters, and emotional eating can be triggered by hormone fluctuations, right? Because think about day 16 and day 19 when our hormones crash and we do feel a little bit prickly, and we do feel a little like we're looking for those neurotransmitters. We're looking for that dopamine hit because estrogen has gone and taken it. Okay. So same thing with perimenopause, if our estrogen levels are fluctuating and estrogen drops out real quick, we're going to feel really down in the dumps. And if you are an emotional eater, like I have my hand raised here. That is me. I am a reformed emotional eater. We look to food to make us feel better. And the truth in that is that we're adding excess calories where we don't need to. And likely it's food that is ultra processed and not very good for us. But it does give us that dopamine hit because it is chemically designed to do that. Okay, so we want to be really, really mindful about that. If you're an emotional eater, hit me up. I would love to talk to you about it because it was a hard thing to overcome. All right, the last thing about estrogen is essential for calcium absorption, which I mentioned before when I said that we come out of menopause, women do, with osteoporosis or with a thyroid dysfunction. This is because estrogen is essential for calcium absorption, which calcium makes our bones nice and strong. So that is why perimenopausal women are at an increased risk for osteoporosis because of that declining estrogen. So what do we do? How do we support healthy bones during this time? Well, first of all, we do impact exercises like walking and strength training to stimulate bone growth. Cannot say it over and over and over again. Lift heavy stuff. Lift heavy stuff. It is a huge shift from what we're used to, I know, but it's something that is so incredibly vital, especially going through all of the ways that estrogen works in the body and knowing that, oh my gosh, we need to have good muscle mass going into perimenopause or going through perimenopause. Okay. So we want to ensure that we're getting adequate calcium intake also. So whether that's through our food or through a supplement, whichever is fine. And then we want to prioritize vitamin D and vitamin K to help with the calcium absorption. So calcium, we get calcium from leafy greens, which is why you will hear me say over and over again, leafy greens, leafy greens, leafy greens. Eat them as often as you can. I always throw it in the Fab 4, protein, fat, fiber, greens. Greens, all of them, all the time. Vitamin D, this is a conversation we need to have in Northeast Ohio, okay? If you live where I live or you live anywhere in that has winter and you have marked dark days, it's an issue, okay? Because vitamin D on our skin is turned into, sunlight on our skin is turned into vitamin D, okay? So we're getting the majority of our vitamin D from the sun. So if you live in Florida, like I did, I never had to worry about vitamin D. I got plenty of it because the sun is abundant there. Unfortunately, in Northeast Ohio, we have weeks and weeks at a time where we do not see sunlight. And if we do, it's freezing cold outside and no one wants to be out in it. So we do need help, okay? And while I'm not the biggest advocate for supplementation, that is one supplement that I will 1000% recommend to every woman who lives in my area. My first question, are you taking vitamin D? Okay? So let's talk about key takeaways, okay? During a time when our estrogen is erratic and we're moving through perimenopause, there's some major things that we need to do. Number one is ditch excess high-intensity interval training, okay? Strength training is far more beneficial for perimenopausal women. And here's your reality check. If you feel good after high-intensity interval training, you might just be chasing an adrenaline high rather than your actual well-being. So your body craves what it's used to, but that doesn't mean it's what's best, okay? You're an adrenaline junkie chasing an adrenaline high, and you need to be smarter and realize that, oh my gosh, this is detrimental to my health. I need to focus on other things to make sure that I am building muscle and supporting healthy estrogen production as to the best of my ability, okay? So that's supporting muscle growth. More muscle means higher metabolism and better glucose regulation. We need to make sure that we are not in a deficit, okay? We need to make sure that we are checking in, okay? That we are realizing, okay, this is my body type. This is where I am at health-wise, okay? If you are a healthy, athletic body, chronic undereating is not good, okay? Not getting enough calories will signal your body to store fat, not burn it, which we really want to avoid in this stage of our life, okay? Now, if you have excess fat, what we want to do is we want to get rid of that excess fat. So you're going to look a little bit different, and that's where I would say hit me up. Initial consultations are completely free, and I can give you a customized plan for what you should do completely free of charge. Okay. If you want extra help, you absolutely can get that too, but the consultation is free. You can do that on my website. Sign yourself up. All right. Regulating blood sugar. This means balanced meals, spacing them out properly, and avoiding sugar spikes and crashes. It also means that if you are living in an obese body, that you are insulin resistant, or that you have some sort of chronic condition, we have to look at where your blood glucose is at, okay? This has to get under control in order to have a healthy perimenopause experience, okay? And then the last thing is that we need to prioritize sleep and stress management, because poor sleep and high stress make everything worse, period. So in conclusion, I'll just say this. Perimenopause is a major hormonal shift. And then understanding how estrogen influences your body really is key to making the right lifestyle changes and choices. So support your metabolism, your muscles, and your overall well-being by focusing on strength training, getting that blood sugar under control, maintaining proper nutrition, and developing a stress management plan. Okay? Your body is changing, but you can adapt. You can feel strong and energized and in control during this transition. I know it might feel overwhelming right now. I know it might even seem a little bit scary. I know it might even kind of piss you off because you're like, why in the world am I just now learning this? But here's the thing, guys. We know better now. We know more now, so we're going to do better, okay? And you are not alone. I am here, and I am doing the best I can to create a network and a community of women who are in the same boat, who are walking the same path, who are feeling the same things, who want to change, who don't want to live in this foreign feeling body, okay? So take the education that I'm giving you and figure out a way to apply it into your life, and know that if you need help, I am here. I will reiterate again that initial consultations are completely free, and I can just even offer you the tiniest bit of encouragement and point you in a direction with resources and places that you can go to learn more. You do not have to sign up for a coaching program, okay? I hope that you found this as enlightening as I did when I learned it, and that it helped you understand a little bit more about this crazy hormone estrogen and what it's doing in our body. Okay, so till next time, be kind, be well, cultivate good health. Thank you for joining me on this journey to educate and empower. I hope you found value in what you heard and will come back to listen again. Together, we're going to create a community of women empowered to transform their health. If you're excited to be part of this, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with the other women in your life who need health support tailored to that X chromosome. Until next time, be kind, be well, cultivate your health.